Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to etlqalabs. So in this session, we will taking up the questions related to data warehouse testing, database testing, and ETL testing. So basically, what is the difference, right? So if you can say that this is the question, what is the difference between data warehouse testing, database, and ETL testing, right? So we will be talking in detail about this and we'll try to understand this, right? And this is also very important, I think, to understand basically, right? So that you can have your clear mindset and clear understanding when approach for an interview and somebody actually throwing this kind of question, you should be easily able to, articulate and able to explain them, right? And it is also very important for you to understand basically when these terms are used, right, within the testing. As a ETL tester, you should be knowing it, right? So let's try to understand, guys. Okay, first of all, so what is first we'll try to understand one by one, guys. Okay, so we will see that first what is database testing, right? So we'll take and then after that we will approach to the rest of the testings, right? So database testing, what is database testing? So let me before that, guys, let me explain you one very daily used scenario. Okay, so I have, let's say, online banking system. Okay, and the bank's name may be KDFC. All right, I'm just taking random. Okay, this is just a bank. I don't know. I mean, I just taken it. Okay, it's not valid bank, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, um, I said that. Okay, online banking system here. KDFC is a bank, right? And what they have is they have the online banking system, and you are, let's say, one of the uh, user of the bank, or you are one of the customer of the bank, right? So what you will get it, you will get the customer ID and I mean basically the login credential, right, to their website. So once you get that login, you can log in it, and what all the information you can see, guys? You can see account balance, right? Account balance, and also you can also see the transaction, right? Historical transaction. Okay, so how long historical transaction? Maybe it is for 3 months, right? 3 months basically. Older than that, you cannot see basically, right? And that will be in somewhere other places, some other places. Okay. And what are the other information you can see? The current account balance and other information you can see, right? So now we'll try to understand what is basically the database testing in this aspect, right? So obviously, let's say I have, what I can do is basically, okay, what I can do is, this is, let's say, 20,000 rupees. 20,000 rupees is the current account balance. All right. And here if I see there are some transactions. Okay. So historical transaction, maybe some withdrawal. Okay. Withdrawal deposits. All right. There are some figures here, guys. Okay. Some numbers are there. I don't want to go into that detail. The idea is to basically how do you validate that you have this amount balance in your account, right? So what you can do is you have the bank database, right? Because all this information that is actually this you can see on the website, this is actually we are fetching it from the database. So bank is having their own database, which is the operational database, guys, which means that is the production database, right? Production means that is the business database or the operational database. That's where all the information is there, right? And this particular information, whatever you can see on the bank database, it will always contain the basically the latest value, right? Latest value, when I say that, exactly what is the balance as of now today, that only I can see. I cannot see what is the balance there was yesterday, right? And all those things I cannot see because bank would not like to keep all. Bank will always keep the updated data over here, right? So that is the reason you can go to bank database and you can, as I mean, if you have access, right? So you are, let's say, working in a bank's production system, you can just go to the table and you can just fetch what is the current value, and you will see this 20,000 rupees. Okay, and let's say there was 22,000 rupees yesterday, and there was a 2,000 rupees withdrawal today, and that is hence resulted the 20,000 as a total account balance today. All those information you will not be able to see in the table. Okay, why? Because this particular bank data is the database is always keeping the current data only. It doesn't keep the historical data, guys. Okay, so this is what the concept of the database, right? So database basically will always be keeping the current information. All right, now what will happen is, so what kind of system it is? Basically bank is having OLTP system. OLTP, as I explained you before also, OLTP is nothing but online transactional transaction processing system, right? Which means, guys, this particular database is having all the updated information. It does not contain the historical information, because bank do not want to slow down their process keeping the historical data if it doesn't make any sense for them for day-to-day operation, right? So that is the reason this, and this is the place where the database testing comes into picture, right? So as part of your database testing, whether your this particular, so what will happen is, basically, let's say the bank is recently open and they are actually opening this, they are actually designing this particular website for them, and they would like to do whether all the information that is in the database is actually reflecting it here or not, right? So they would like to go for the database testing basically, right? And now what they will do is, they will basically go to the bank database and query whether this particular customer is having this much balance or not, and they will tally, right? Okay, so they will tally this account balance between the database and on this GUI, right? So database and this GUI, basically this website. Okay, so this is how they will do. Okay, this is the very simple example that I am telling you. Okay, now there could be one more case. What kind of testing you could do here in database? So let's say uh, as a customer, I had, let's say, 20,000 rupees, and I just deposited, let's say, 5,000 extra, right? I went to bank, or I did the online transaction. I just deposited 5,000 extra. So what will be the latest balance? It will be 25,000, right? 25,000 rupees, correct? So this 25,000 rupees should also be updated in database, right? That's where this particular website is fetching the data. So it will be actually updated 25,000 in backend, and here also I should be able to get it, right? Now as part of this, what all the things is supposed to happen in the backend? So as soon as you actually deposited 5,000 rupees, there should be an update trigger. Okay, update trigger, which will basically look at it, you are doing any kind of update on this particular value, and then it will actually perform multiple operations, right? Or for example, let's say, um, for simplicity, guys, okay, let's say I have 20,000 rupees, I am actually withdrawing 3,000 rupees. Okay, what will happen is, when I withdraw the 3,000 rupees, remaining is supposed to be 17,000, right? 17,000. So when I actually withdraw this amount, what should happen is, there will be a trigger which will basically run on this total amount, and it will actually subtract this amount from here, right? So all these operations are supposed to happen, in the backend properly. Okay, so there will be lot of triggers, lot of stored procedure, etc., written on the bank, right? And this is how happens basically. So based on one information, you would like to let the database perform all those operation as part of stored procedure, triggers, or function, right? Whatever you have written based on your requirement of your banking system, right? So all those kind of, so as part of database testing, we also need to test other database objects like stored procedures, right? triggers functions, right? And also you have to check indexes, etc. All those things you have to check. Basically, these are called the database objects, right? Database objects. So you have to ensure that all of these things are working properly or not, right? And how do you ensure that they are working properly? You have to validate after running this, after doing certain operation, whether these stored procedures are getting fired and correct data is updated in database and same is reflected in this particular website or not, right? So this is, guys, this is nothing but the database testing. Actually, you are only dealing with the current data. We are not dealing with the historical data, right? So this is actually the online transactional. That's why it is online transactional processing system, right? Now, going to, okay, so guys, I hope you are able to understand this, right? So this is a database, example of database. Now let's say I am also taking one data warehouse testing. Okay, so guys, data warehouse testing and ETL testing, they are also little bit different. Okay, but for now I'm considering only both are same. I will tell you later the minor difference, but for now it's okay. All right. So guys, what will happen is in data warehouse testing, what is the important for the data warehouse? Okay, guys, again, see this. So what will happen is, so as I was telling you, right? So there will be lot of operation or lot of transaction that will be happening throughout the day in the bank, and at the end of the day there will be a ETL job which will basically consolidate all this data from the bank, this transactional system, and this will be loaded into data warehouse, right? So this is how it happens normally. Okay, so here guys, what will happen is data from this basically OLTP is nothing but this, right? From OLTP to, one second, from OLTP to OLAP. I will tell you what is OLAP. So OLAP is basically the data warehouse, right? System, right? So OLAP, online analytical processing system, right? Online analytical processing system. Why this is online analytical system processing? Because data warehouse is supposed to hold all the historical data, because the main purpose of data warehouse is basically to capture all the transactional data on daily basis or weekly basis, however it may be possible, and store all of them for years and years, so that uh, we can generate the meaningful report, and we can do some analysis, and we can take the certain decision for our business, right? So in this case, let's say every day there will be transaction which will be happening, okay, across all the bank account holders, right? And at the end of the day, there will be ETL process which will be basically fetching the current information for the whole day, whatever transaction is happening, everything will be actually moved from this particular database, or whatever I could say here, OLTP system, and it will be moved to OLAP system, right? And OLAP system is designed in such a way that it will hold all the historical data plus current data. Current data is anyways, it is like 1 day lag, right? Because yesterday's data is already loaded today, and today whatever transaction is happening, that is happening already here, and at the end of the day, all the data will be loaded here. So the data warehouse will contain all the historical data for years and years, right? And based on that, you can actually generate the report using the BI reporting tools, and you can see, I mean, this is basically these tools will be helping the top management to take certain decisions based on the pattern of the data, right? Uh, so they can take the strategic decision. So that is the whole purpose of data warehouse, right? So that's what I have explained to you before also, but hopefully you are able to understand now, right? So this is actually now um, loaded into OLAP system. Okay, and here is basically ETL system. So okay, let me do one thing, guys. I think I can take this other way here. So this will be really good. Okay, so let me, I'll put it here. Okay, so what I will do is, so this is OLTP. Okay, system, what kind of system it is, right? So database testing involve OLTP system. Okay, however, data warehouse testing or ETL testing involves OLAP systems, right? That's what we have already seen. Here basically we are testing mostly, the stored procedure, triggers, etc. These are the database objects, right? DB objects. Okay, what we are testing here is mostly we are actually validating the data, validation from source to target, including transformation, right? Transformations. All those things we are basically testing here, whether the data that is coming from source. So in this case, what is source, guys? Source is basically nothing but this, right? OLTP. And then there will be ETL process and then it will be loaded into target, right? So source is OLTP here, guys. Here OLTP are, the bank's daily operational system, OLTP, and it will be loaded into target, right? This is OL, OLTP, OLAP, right? OLAP. This is the data warehouse, guys, right? And then, in between there will be obviously the transformation involved, right? So this is the kind of testing that we do basically, the testing type, right? I'm just taking some example, not covering everything, guys, okay? Now, what will happen is basically, so these are basically few things that we want to do is. Now, in terms of differences, right? So what is other differences? The data model, right? Data model. So what kind of data models are there for the database testing? So these are basically, as I said, that these are actually the OLTP system, right? That's where we are doing the database testing. So these OLTP systems will be um, built using the ER model, guys, right? Entity relationship model, and this will be built by dimensional model, dimensional modeling, right? And in dimensional modeling, another thing is you should know that what is difference. Here we have only two type of table, fact table and dimension tables, guys. Okay, there are two kind of table only. Okay, and here we do not have any specific kind of table. So these are the common tables, right? Okay, we do not. So this particular, these are the common table, and data will be kept based on the need. All right. Now, guys, other thing is the what is the normalization level, right? Normalization level. So when I say normalization, normalization is what, guys? Normalization is nothing but basically, breaking a single table into multiple table to remove the data redundancy, right? When I say data redundancy, which means the duplicated information which are there in the table. So if you want to remove that, then we do basically the data normalize, okay, the table normalization, right? Let me give you an example. I think that will be helpful for you to understand, guys. Okay, so let's say I have employee table. Okay, very simple. I'm giving you example of normalization, guys. Okay, so this is the employee table, and I have, let's say, employee number, department number, and department name. All right. Now, if I say employee number 1, department number, let's say mechanical, and department number, let's say 10, and computer science. Okay, this is not employee number. Sorry, guys. 10, and this is finance department. Finance. I have employee number 2. This is again 10, and this is again in finance. 3 is there, let's say, and then I have 20, and this is R&D. Okay, 4, 30, and service department. Okay, so these are some of the departments. Now what will happen is I want to duplicate this 3-4 times. Okay, now if you look at this, okay, let me, all right. Okay, guys, so if you look at it here, what is happening is, you see that there is a duplication of the department name here, service, 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 and all these things are coming, right? So which is nothing but it is actually occupying a space, and this is not really good idea to store the data into this format. So what I can do is I can actually break this particular employee table into two tables, okay? So when we break this employee table into two tables, that is nothing but that is called the normalization process, okay? So let me just show you how do we break it, right? So I will create two tables now, employee table and one department table, okay? So in employee table, what I will contain is employee, I will keep it employee number and department number, okay? Department number, okay. Hopefully you are able to see it properly, okay? And this is department number and this is department name. All right, guys. Okay, 1 second. Hope it's okay for you, right? So for I will say here 1, 2, 3, and 4. Correct? Okay. Now, guys, what I can do is here I can put 5, 6, 7, something like that I can put. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? 7 employees here, right? And what is the department number for each of them? 1, 10, 10, 20, 30. All of them are 30 basically here. All of them are 30, right? And here what I will say 10, 20, 30. That's all, right? And here I will say finance, finance. Second is R&D, and third one is service, right? So you see, guys, there is not too much of a duplication of data, right? Here we can obviously see department number is duplicated, but if you see here, it is taking too much of a space, right? And don't want to duplicate this data every time, right? So here only one column, but there in reality there might be multiple columns, right? That is the reason what we do is basically we actually break this particular one table into multiple tables, okay? When we break one table into multiple tables, leave it, I think you are able to see it, right? So when we break one table into multiple table, this is nothing but this is called normalization. So normalization is a process of breaking a, a table into multiple tables in order to remove the redundancy. Redundancy, when I say, it is duplicate, right? Which is this is of no use, right? Because we are putting service, 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 service. Rather than here, I am actually putting one time service only when I break this particular table into department table, right? So this, but to have this, we need to have the foreign key and primary key constant here, right? So this can be primary key and this can be foreign key, right? So there could be some relation basically, right? This is foreign key and this is primary key, right? So this kind of things we have to make sure we have it, right? So that is what, guys, I wanted to explain you. So this is normalization, right? So in case of database, it is fully normalized, right? Normalized, fully normalized, and here these are not denormalized. Why? Because here we are actually keeping very less number of tables, okay? Fact table and dimension table, two category, but dimension tables are so wide, basically having so many columns, right? Which here, let's say for example, I have 10 tables in my OLTP system are here, right? Here I can just accommodate within two tables, one fact and one dimension table. Here 10 tables, more number of tables. Okay, here I will say more number of tables. Here very less number of tables, right? Of tables, because we don't want to have multiple tables, because what will happen is um, if we want to have multiple number of tables, then actually when we run we have to join these two tables, right? So here let's say I have 10 tables, okay? Since the data is very less in our OLTP system, then it is easy to join and get the data from all these 10 tables, right? If something you want to fetch in, right? But here, if I have 10 tables and I have huge amount of data, let's say 10 years of data, and if I am making a join for all these 10 tables, then it will take ages to give me the result. That is the reason, guys, we actually have very low number of tables basically. And roughly translating, let's say I have, this is just example, 10 tables here in my OLTP system. I will actually ensure that this 10 tables worth data is actually captured in here, two tables actually, okay, one may be fact table, one may be dimension, or three tables, okay, one fact, two dimensions, something like that, whatever we will see that, right, based on that. So this is the reason why dimension tables are having so many columns, okay, and fact tables are having less, and sorry, and the OLAP system, ER modeling systems, they are having low number of more number of tables. Okay, so when I say number of tables, okay, hope you are able to understand this, guys, right? And what kind of operation that we normally put it here, we actually only run it, right? So in terms of fetching the data, we actually run the read only, because here we have 10 years of data and we don't want to do anything, any other operation than read, because we want to actually fetch the data for the reporting purpose or taking certain business decisions, right? So we have to run the data, we have to run the report and get the data, right? So that reports might take a couple of hours basically to get the meaningful information, because we are running the huge amount of data. So that's, then only we can get some meaningful output for taking any certain business decision. But here, since the data is very low, it is only current data, okay, updated data as of today, okay. In case of bank, as I say, right, only it will have the updated information. Historical information will be moved to the data warehouse. Here will not have any historical information, right? So in that case, what kind of operation normally happens in the bank is CRUD operation, right? Create, uh, create, what is that, guys? Update, delete, right? Uh, One second. So create, read, update, and delete, guys. Okay. Here we are actually having only read operation, right? Why? Because if you go to bank, right, so they might have to, do some deposits, right? Or so in that case, it will be create, or there might be the customer generation, new customer onboarding. In that case, there is a create operation. They might have to update the balances, then update operation. They might have to remove some, balance, means some withdrawal is happening, then they have to delete something, right? And then they also have to read sometime, because they want to get the, let's say, balance, account balance, etc. They don't need to do any other operation, right? They only have to read the operation, right? They want to just fetch the information. So that's why OLTP, this database testing, will involve the CRUD operation. However, ETL testing will involve only read operation. uh, so type of operation, I would say, type of database operation. All right. Okay, guys. Now, what will happen is, now again coming back to the data size, right? So data volume. So guys, as you already aware, right? So data warehouse will contain the historical data, 10 years, 20 years data. So this will be very huge, right? In TBs basically, right? Or petabyte, right? So this will be very huge. Now this will be very small size, because this is always containing the current information, current data, right? It doesn't have any historical data. Now this will the type of data, when I say type of data, it will be always current data, right? And this will be current plus historical, right? Historical data. So this is the difference, right? And this will be very small and this will be very huge in size, guys, right? So this is what actually is the difference between ETL or ETL testing and data warehouse testing, right? And as I told you, right? So ETL testing will involve all those kind of. So this is basically, guys, this information is basically related to OLTP and OLAP, And OLTP, when I say it is the database, OLTP database are the database, and that's where actually if we are doing the testing on those databases, then that is called the OLTP testing, or I would say that that is called the database testing. And when we do the testing on the ETL or the data warehouse, in that case, this will involve the historical and current data. Hope you are able to understand, guys. So this is all about database testing. Here basically we are validating all this stored procedure triggers function. Here we are actually validating the ETL process source to transformation. We are running minus query. We are actually doing data level validation and etc. All those kind of things that we are doing in ETL testing, right? Now I think this is some of the information that I wanted to tell. Now we will come back to ETL testing and data warehouse testing, guys. Okay. So let me go back. Actually, I want some space here. Okay. So I'll say, let's say ETL testing. Okay. Now here is a data warehouse testing. So what is data warehouse testing is data warehouse testing and ETL testing both are 90% same, I would say, because in ETL testing, from my point of view, ETL testing is always there when we say the data warehouse testing. Okay. So ETL can be okay can be can be data migration, simple data migration, right? Or database migration. However, database testing will always involve ETL testing. Okay, so data warehouse cannot have for data warehouse. It is very important that we have the ETL process. Okay, but for ETL process, it is not mandatory that the target is always data warehouse. It can be flat file, or it can be simple data migration. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand, right? So for data warehouse, it is very important that the loading is happening through the ETL system, right? ETL process. However, for ETL, it is not important that the loading will happen in data warehouse only. It can happen into flat file. It can happen into any other kind of system. Okay, it may not necessarily be data warehouse only. Okay, so all the data ETL testing doesn't have the data warehouse testing, because there might be the normal migration process, right, wherein we don't want to create a data warehouse basically. Okay, so all the ETL system do not need to be a data warehousing solution. It can be normal migration kind of process that we would like to achieve, right? So hopefully you are able to understand. And when I say data warehouse testing, okay, it is basically testing on the target table basically, right? And also understanding, also doing lot of testing around slow changing dimensions, or incremental load, and all those kind of aspects basically we have to do here, right? But here it is not required. Okay, it can be simple loading from one to other system, simply migrating the data from one to other system, right? For example, data from Oracle to Teradata, if you want to just migrate it, you can use this ETL system, etc. So roughly if you see that both are very similar. Okay, but data warehouse will basically having also sometime people say that data warehouse is also reporting BI reporting testing also. Okay, because BI reports are basically generated from the data warehouse only, right? So data warehouse will have all this data now. Okay, now there will be reports which will be generated based on this, and this report has to be validated against data warehouse, right? So whatever is data there in the data warehouse, that same data has to be checked against BI reports, whatever is generated, right? So that is sometime it is also called as the data warehouse testing, right? Or sometimes they say the VI reporting testing, BI testing, etc. Right? So hope you are able to understand it, guys. I don't want to explain too much about it. but I think you got the idea. Okay. And I will try to take up. So this topic is little bit you need to watch 1 or two times if you're not able to understand. But yeah, I mean this topic you need to have little bit of understanding about data warehousing and ETL testing, etc. So please go and watch my video on the data warehouse. I think I have created couple of videos. I think that might be helpful to understand. Okay, but overall, this is the differences. So I hope that you are able to understand. And that's all for this video, guys. And thank you for watching. And if you have not subscribed and you are first time on this channel, I think if you are getting some knowledge, please do consider to subscribe this channel. And like the video if you are really getting some information, so that it can give me some encouragements. And also put your comments if you need any question, if you have any questions, etc. Right? So that's all, guys, and thank you for watching. God bless you. Bye.